I'm going to finish by looking at an idea about what happens when we get old. I talked about how wonderful the newborn human is with their rapidly growing brains that are all rapidly connected together. What happens at the other end of the life cycle? Well, as we age, our cognitive performance declines. And for some people, cognitive performance declines faster than for other people. Another graph. What happens as we move from young through to very old? Well, this is what happens for some people. Start off young, maybe you're around sort of 90%, you got to 100 by adulthood. Then as you get older into middle age, you start to decline, and into old age, you're getting worse, and when you're very old, you're down to only 50% of your normal adult capacity. Your capacity has faded away. That's, in the terminology of the people who work in this area, is nicely called early drop. You've started to decline from adulthood. But some people don't exhibit that. This red line shows what happens with what they call the late drop people. For these people, they're staying up until adulthood, but then as they age through middle age and old age, they don't really decline very much. They maintain their cerebral performance until they're very old, when, like everybody, decrepitude sets in. They end up at the same point, but they enjoyed their mental capacity for longer during their middle age and old age. So these are called late drop. They get there in the end, but not until later in their lives. So why is this? Well, there's two arguments that have been put out there. And cerebral reserve, spare capacity almost, has been used as a heuristic or a metaphor for what's happening here to explain this ability for some people to resist decline. And there are two ways of thinking about it. Maybe it's a passive model that some of us have just got spare capacity, spare neural matter that we aren't using in our normal everyday lives. So as decline sets in, we can recruit this spare capacity to make good the deficit caused by other neurons dying off. So we can cope with neural decay. Since that fits the model of only using some fraction of our capacity, maybe 80%, we've got another 20% there on hand, like a spare tyre. Or there's an active model that focuses on strategies again, that some of us have developed better ways of thinking throughout our lives, so that as our neural matter decays, as our neurons die, we can recruit those strategies to keep thinking in efficient ways. So we can maintain our level of performance despite the decay, because we've got a more efficient way of processing. So here's some more of these drop graphs with data taken from a large sample of old people. And they were all recruited, and their scores are normalised with their score a year into the study, when there were over 2,325 of these people. They were all around the age of 80, so they're old people. And what's happening is that as the years pass through this study, over 5 years, we can see their performance is dropping away compared to the performance at year 1. Now the 4 lines represent different training regimes that they were put in. So we have a control group, the white circles, who were just tested lots of times. So we can see that they're not actually improving from baseline to year 1, and they end up lowest of all. So that's normal performance, if you like, that we're going to compare the others against. The other 3 groups were trained in some of those brain training tasks. There was some people who were given memory training, some people who were given reasoning training, and some who were just trained to do things quickly, the squares. And you see all of those, compared to year 1 at baseline, they've got lower scores. So that means after a year of this training, they had actually got better. And then as they got older, we can see that by year 5, they're all higher than the control group. So all 3 of these brain training things have actually help these people preserve their capacity. Now, there's some weak problems with this data, is that you can see the numbers are declining over time. Of course, these are all very old people. Quite a lot of the sample have died between baseline and year one. In fact, almost a third. So it may be that the less able people are selectively dying off, the ones who've got more neural decay already. And so the reason why our black lines are higher is because they were the ones who were most able. So there could be an interaction between sort of pre-existing mortality, if you like, and the training. But the other thing is that the specific training improved their specific performance. That the ones who were trained in reasoning got better at the reasoning components of the tests. The ones who were trained in memory got better at the memory aspects of the tests. So it was actually that the specific training actually enhanced those strategies that they were being trained in. Not that they just got better overall. Of course, the tests pick up each of these things and they're just pooled. And also, prior educational attainment gave all-round protection against ageing. They had to parcel that out and control that in their results. So those people who had had more education before the age of 80 actually tended to be the later drop people anyway. They already had strategies for thinking efficiently. So what provides cerebral reserve? Staff et al. Looked at a big, long sort of study here, and they found that cranial volume, the actual size of your head, had no relationship at all with memory or reasoning skills in old age. So it wasn't this passive model of these people with bigger brains resist aging longer. What did matter was occupation, the sort of job you've got, as we saw last year. Your education, what you did with your brain. So their sort of conclusion was that throughout life, using your brain a lot and thinking about things and reasoning through things and having difficult decisions to make actually benefits you by staving off neural decay and making your brain last longer. It's not that the neurons survive, but you're strategically learning to use those neurons you do have better. So use it or lose it. And I'm just going to finish off with a summary saying the main points I've gone through here. That in principle, we don't need all of our brain to hold the information, but we do need a big brain in order to process it. Small areas of the brain do not light up when we're doing tasks. The whole brain is involved. Just some bits do more than others in certain tasks. No part of the brain has no function. All of it is active all of the time. It's a very important thing to remember. And it's just that some people don't use their brains to do much more than routine activities. They're the people James was worried about. Their files are damp. Their drafts are checked. And as their neurons die off, they're the ones who suffer faster. So actively using your brain throughout your life protects against those effects of decline. And what else causes neural decline? So there's my little warning message. Okay, here's some more psychology. Here is the brain of a normal 43-year-old and the brain of an alcoholic 43-year-old.